With the final week of Stage 1 not kicking off till Saturday, I've decided to create an analysis video to fill the void in the downtime. Before I begin, I just want to, again, say thank you, as I've been blown away by the support on my last video, as we reached the first 100 subscribers, but giving me further motivation towards making future content. With that being said, the topic that I'll be discussing today is on the question of what went wrong for the LA Valiant in Stage 1, the Overwatch League 2019 season. As a brief overview, the LA Valiant concluded their Stage 1 with a defeat to the Houston Outlaws that left them with an overall record of 0-7, but currently has them at the foot of the overall rankings. This week the organisation announced that they had released head coach Moon, with assistant coach Packing 10 taking control as interim head coach whilst they begin their search for a new one. With the season only containing 28 games, the Valiant have a mountain to climb to just return to an even record, needing a win percentage of over 66% of their games from here on out, let alone to make the end of season playoffs. So let's dive deeper and see how they ended up here. Starting right back in the off season, the Valiant came off of last season with the Stage 4 title and a loss in the playoff semis to the eventual winners, the London Spitfire. So the organisation looked to be in a good position compared to when they had suffered their in and out issues earlier on in the inaugural season. However, one of the big pieces of news for this team was that they had agreed to let Soon go to Paris, with the team seemingly content on the DPS options they already had, and as such they didn't sign a replacement for him. With Izzyaki coming of age, the only roster addition came in the surprising form of Kuki, the sub-main tank for Seoul, who hadn't managed to get in the lineup ahead of Miro, or even Ryu Jae Hong. As Season 2 started, the team on paper did look weaker compared to its 2018 counterpart, but overall expectations were still on the whole positive, that behind players like Custer and Space, the team would still be quite strong. Week 1 of 2019 saw the LA Valiant kick off their season against a hyped up Hangzhou Spark. To the surprise of everyone, Custer didn't make an appearance, and instead it was Kuki who was playing the Lucio main support role in his place. The team came out of the series looking rather impressive, with Space and Izzyaki standing out, despite their eventual 3-2 defeat. The main issue for their defeat in the 5-map series appeared to be how reluctant Fate was to play Reinhardt in the 3-3 compositions, nearly always opting to play Winston before having to subsequently switch after being beaten by the perceived superior Ryan Goats. Moving into week 2, aside from the Custer situation, everything still seemed to be going fine for the Valiant, despite being beaten once again in Game 5, but this time respectively to the New York Excelsior. And there were times both on Paul and Rialto that LA were in great positions for victory. Custer was also subbed in on both control maps, and played well along with the rest of the team. It was around this time, courtesy of their YouTube series, that we discovered that the main reason that Custer wasn't being played was because, according to Coach Moon, he was too big-brained for the rest of the team. Yet, after this game against the Excelsior, the team began a downward spiral in performance, which first became apparent in their next series against Toronto, who were still without Neko at the time. They once again were defeated in a close series, again only losing by one map, and Custer remained in the lineup for the entire series. It was apparent though that there were clearly some coordination issues between the front and back lines, as Fate and Agilities were often the first to fall in teamfights from pushing in too aggressively. By the end of week 3, the team remained winless, despite all of their losses being decided by one map. Week 3 on the other hand was decisively terrible for the Valiant. Despite picking up one map win in each series, they were handily beaten by both the Vancouver Titans and the Guangzhou Charge. In these series, Fate was manhandled on Reinhardt by both Bumper and Rio, and Kuki kept on being caught out of position and using a sound barrier at bad times, as he returned to the starting lineup with Custer heading back into the shadows for the rest of the stage. Notably, Kareev struggled severely in these series, as even though he had been charging up energy and outputting damage efficiently, his use of Graviton Surges had become rather predictable, with Janu and Hopper especially having field days against him. With week 3 concluding, the LA Valiant had 5 consecutive defeats and were officially eliminated from the playoff picture. But in the following week, they could look forward to 2 games against 2 teams that had been underperforming, the Philadelphia Fusion and the Houston Outlaws, which gave them the perfect opportunity to pick up their first victory. It's this past week that I wish to focus on specifically, as I think it answers the original question perfectly, as what went wrong for the LA Valiant in Stage 1. Both games exhibited very sloppy play that resulted in an extremely poor standard level of quality that, despite being competitive, made them rather difficult to watch. What they did highlight perfectly was poor ultimate usage and coordination of the Valiant, and I'll show this by focusing on Game 5 on Busan against the Fusion. In this first sequence, we can see that to retake the point, LA have used sound barrier aggressively to focus on Sadow's Reinhardt, as well as mitigate some of the poke they were taking. In response, the Fusion used beat themselves to keep Sadow alive. With Sadow seemingly cut off from his team, Kariv attempts to grab him in place, but misses due to agilities knocking him away with whip shot. This is a disaster for the Valiant, as Space and Kuki were not collapsing on Sadow with the rest of the team, and hence are subsequently shattered and killed by the repositioned Reinhardt. With the team fight almost certainly over for LA, they disengage, but not as a team, as we see Kariv exits another way and is punished. It's this miscommunicated and poorly coordinated team play that's gone worse week by week for the Valiant, emphasising the loss of a major shot caller like Luster can perhaps make. The final defeat of Stage 1 for Houston Outlaws was a terrible game all round, and in my opinion, the worst series of Stage 1. It really showed the Valiant hitting rock bottom for this stage, and symbolised that a major issue for this side has been a lack of an identity or style. The team now has around 3 weeks to try and fix these issues before we head into Stage 2, and presumably a new meta that perhaps might have a greater role for DPS heroes, which will tell us how great the impact of losing Soon will have on the team. I think changing head coach at this stage is a good decision, but I think they need to be playing Custer on a permanent basis, purely for the shot calling and team coordination his skill and experience can bring. Stylistically, they need to make a choice as well, on whether they want to be aggressive with agilities and fate, or wait for stars like Izzyaki or Space to make plays in a more counter-attacking style. Their schedule doesn't get any easier, but given how they managed to make most of their games competitive during Stage 1, it shouldn't take too long before they get that first victory. With that, I'd like to thank you for watching. You can expect my Week 5 preview and predictions video at some point tomorrow, but if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe for more Overwatch League content moving forward.